After Aston Villa sold Jacob Ramsey to Newcastle United, both sets of fans chanted together against the Premier League. Finally, football fans are coming together, and it's all because they want their clubs to spend more money.
But if you're Jacob Ramsey, you're presumably quite upset that Newcastle fans are chanting about that, aren't you?
Yeah.
Well, they were voicing their anger at the PSR rules,
I know
which
they were,
have limited
but,
their spending, of course.
Yeah.
It's funny that football fans can't get united over like a minute's silence, but this will do it.
Yeah, they can't.
Ticket prices.
They can't unite around. They can't unite around a football club of 150 years history being ground into dust and no longer existing. They'll just go at that.
Yeah.
But this, they finally found. It's only really the Super League that got people together, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It did. Yeah. Although
Which is why it should come back.
I think
it
Sheffield
brings people together.
I think Sheffield Wednesday fans have had a lot of support and sympathy down in the Championship
Yeah.
this season. So
There are exceptions.
There are exceptions.
But will there not be a section, and we can debate how large the section would be, of Blades having a good old chuckle? The Blades business crew.
All right.
having a good old chuckle.
100%, yeah.
Luke,
Yeah. Well, 100% you're starting with, are you? All of them. All of them are doing that, are they?
Every single one, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Southampton had a bit of trouble. You'd enjoy that.
No, I would say that my position, and I've stated this time and again, and I'm happy to do so here once more, I would like Southampton ideally to lose every single game they play.
Right.
But I don't want them to go out of business.
Yes.
Get them in the Southern Prem.
But
I'm happy with that.
But
I think if they were going to go out of business, what you'd do is you would make a contribution to keep them afloat, and then you would constantly. I think you would, because then you'd hold it over them forever.
Yes.
And you'd lord it up.
You still owe me. You still owe me for that. Yeah. Imagine how bad that would be for them to have to take a contribution from Pompey fans to stay there. No one should want any other club to go out of business. They're a community-focused asset for people, and they're really, really important. But it's fine to want a rival team to get beat, for sure.
But no, and also nobody should stop the Piff Posse spending a lot of money to make Newcastle United better.
That's the thing, isn't it? And so to take it back to the PSR thing.
Come on.
I believe I'm right in saying that people are voicing their anger at PSR, the profit and sustainability rules, because although I suppose it's one of the few things in football admin which is set up with quite a noble purpose, it is having some perhaps unforeseen ramifications around the fact that if you don't have a massive commercial income, you can't go and do something you might want to do. And also, if you do well on the pitch, it takes a while for that money to be seen, and therefore you can't double down and continue to improve because that revenue's not come in yet. That's basically what Unai Emery was saying at Villa, isn't it?
Well, yeah. So to quote Emery, he said, financial control rules came to football to avoid bankruptcies and payment defaults with a good purpose. But as professionals, we should review it. For this good tool will become a limitation for the clubs that are doing good management, who will never be allowed to dream and get higher goals because the revenue, key for these financial rules, needs time to come to reality after sporting success. So, I mean, it can be. So I suppose with Villa having been in the Champions League last season and going deep in the competition, you think, okay, can you kick on and sign players and whatnot? But then they'd fail to get into the Champions League. So that comes with its own problems and less of a revenue stream and so on and so forth. Villa are currently under a UEFA-imposed 3-year settlement, which means that any £100 million in incoming transfers must be matched by at least £100 million in outgoing sales. So they're hamstrung a little bit at the moment. So that's why fans are...
and that's because they spent a lot of money.
Yes.
They spent, if you look at the last season's transfer window... They spent over 200 million.
Yeah.
They spent a lot of money.
Yeah.
And so there comes ramification for that.
Well, Jacob Ramsey going, this is why.
Well, and that's what which I think this is the way into talking about this, because you mentioned at the top of this, Villa sold Jacob Ramsey to Newcastle. Well, why did Aston Villa sell Jacob Ramsey to Newcastle? Well, it's partly because they can bank entire profit because he's a homegrown player. And this is what I'm talking about when it comes to unforeseen consequences of this rule.
Yeah.
What it's actually doing is it's meaning that clubs are far more willing than they were before to sell their own homegrown players because they can bank that as pure profit, which then, of course, as per usual, has the knock-on effect of further disrespecting fans who, of course, love homegrown players more than any other, and therefore there's another problem from it there.
Yeah, and it's just a shame on a kind of ideological point of view, because you produce these players, and I understand not everybody makes it, and understand as well that some clubs are more susceptible to sell because they're not huge or they can't pay the wages that some can do at the top of the tree. But that's existed since football began, really. But there is something, Vish, isn't there, about selling players, as Luke said, suddenly they just become, you see the kind of pound signs on them, rather than that's a player who's come through the academy. We all love him.
It's backwards.
Possibly
the whole thing's backwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually think you made this point a year or so ago, actually, about basically about this, essentially about how you'd be pushing clubs to sell their academy products because of, as you say, it's pure profit, and you can strike it off that way. I think I was trying basically. I think the conversation we had on Monday about the food chain of football
on Tuesday's mailbag
is actually very separate to this particular issue, because it's not like there's not a way out of this. It's just that the way out of it is such that it's quite unpalatable, because it goes against, I suppose, what you'd want from football, as you say, about support. You all love homegrown players coming through. That's kind of the point of like doing up your academy. It shouldn't be just so you've got a factory to sell, so you can buy other talent and stuff like that. I don't really know what a remedy would be, other than maybe like a solid cap of how much you should be, or how much you're allowed to spend at a certain point. Because I think since Villa's current owners have taken over, I think they spent about 600 odd million, basically, which, if you look at the owners that have been in place since that period, it's about second on that list, with Chelsea being above and beyond that from the year after. So, yeah, it's a very, very strange one. I do feel for them. I think what has happened, though, is clubs have voted for this, or certainly allowed it to come through for good reason. And I think maybe only now people are realising that the bigger clubs, who people would assume it was meant to hamstrung, or at least kind of bring down a bit further, have just created a bit more separation between themselves and the likes of Newcastle and Aston Villa, who ultimately have been disruptors over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
So you're almost in not quite a Super League, but certainly like a super table. Or rather, like I meant a literal table there, rather than like a mini table within a table, because like Manchester United are obviously not part of that top, those top 6 clubs at the moment. But they're operating as if they are one, because they have the luxury.
Because they're able to. And that's also because of their commercial operation.
Yeah, no, exactly, yeah. I think the thing that colours it is the idea that if you get into the Champions League, you become a Champions League club, and we know that's not the case.
Yeah.
It's the reason people were trying to push through the Super League, is because, God, it is quite a lot of effort now trying to finish 4th every single season. Is there a way that we can guarantee that we can get all this side money and this, that and the other?
In light of recent seasons, as a Man United fan, you must be thinking, I wish the Super League happened.
Well, the PSR's helping now. We don't have to. Look at who Manchester United signed over the summer.
Yeah, true enough. I mean, I mean, with PSR as well, it was also designed to stop the kind of, the big billionaire coming in and just splashing the cash.
Yeah, of course.
But it did mean that the way things are, it kind of gets locked in a bit as well. So we often, in the past, have sneered at, say, Chelsea, or maybe for other reasons, but Manchester City, big money owners coming in. Man City is slightly different, but big money owners coming in, and just suddenly you're shooting up the league. I mean, Fulham under Al Fayed in the lower leagues of English football, or to a lesser extent, slightly similar. Wrexham's owners, obviously within PSR now, but I suppose for smaller clubs, you just think, well, how else will it happen for us? Is the question.
Well, the Newcastle part in this is interesting as well, because in getting Jacob Ramsey from Aston Villa, they had to fill a gap that they had to make themselves the season before, when they sold Elliot Anderson to Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, which was to help to comply with PSR. And
because they were on the verge of falling foul of it.
Well, Eddie Howe described the move as uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I find this difficult, Luke, to how to sort of think about this PSR stuff, because, like I say, I always want to say, what are the really big clubs thinking of it? Because I'll tend to, in good practice, take the opposite view, maybe.
Very quickly, ultimately, it's just like any law or rule that comes in, who benefits?
Well, exactly.
And we're probably seeing now.
There's always like loopholes to be explored anyway.
Yeah.
It's almost a bit like, tax law.
Well, sure,
stuff.
exactly. Yeah.
But you also need to take it back to my old adversary, which is EPPP, right? So you've got that on the bingo card. Can check that off, because if you think about it as well, I mean, Jacob Ramsey, I don't think is an example of this, but there are plenty of players who will then be sold on from big Premier League clubs for homegrown reasons,
Yes.
who they've just poached off of
Yes.
other clubs'
Totally.
academies
Totally.
anyway,
Totally.
because there's no rules being able to do so. So actually, they can, if you're a player like, I'm just trying to think of an example, there'll be plenty, you can look it up, there'll be plenty of young players who've come through and they've signed for, say, Man City at 14 or whatever, 15, and they may then get sold on as pure profit because they're homegrown. A lot of those players, those kids really, will be from local. They should have been at local academies, which is basically the whole foundation of how English football is supposed to. Well, in fact, any football, but in this case, English football is supposed to work. But that's been completely gutted. That those foundations have been ripped out at the root because it's no longer possible for smaller clubs to have academies that can keep players along and sell them on for a profit later to keep themselves sustainable. In fact, if you think about it long enough, the top clubs should want that as well. Because they could still be able to get younger players for reasonable amounts of money. Because realistically, you're not going to have to pay 100 million for an 18-year-old, right? He's not going to. Realistically, there may be the odd exception, but you're not going to be able to have to do that. The amount of money you have to put into your academy anyway, and the amount of time and the amount of man hours and the amount of staff you need to bring on a top-level teenager, if you've got another great academy on the other side of the country, they can do it for you, and you just go and pay them the money you would have paid it in a different way. The numbers may not quite add up, but you also know that you're doing the right thing and you're keeping football sustainable. That shouldn't necessarily be seen as such a bad thing. I think what's forgotten a lot about transfers in football is that back in the day, the transfer market basically existed for you to be able to supplement what you were already doing. You haven't got to go that far back, 60 years maybe, not even that, for Celtic winning the European Cup, and all their players were born within 10 miles of Glasgow. Now that is...
It's remarkable.
That's an amazing stat, and it's also a stat from another time. No one's suggesting that football would ever be like that again, because the world's not like that now. We know that. But I think it's a spectrum. And if you go too far the other way, and you are essentially just depositing, in Man City's case, multi-club models where you're just essentially at source hoovering up every single good young player that's ever played the game. Why are you doing it? What are you doing it for? What's the point of it? Is it because you just want to be
controlling the variables?
Yeah, you want to be Thanos. You want to be the Thanos
no,
of football.
No, but it is, Luke.
So I don't think we should be above saying, do you know what? That's not right. That's not what this sport is supposed to be. This is a sport, okay? It's not a kind of grab and gather up all the... It's not like Hungry Hippos, where you own all the hippos, right? There's no point playing the game if you own all the hippos. Do you know what I mean? You've played Hungry Hippos, right?
I love the fact that you make a very eloquent point about some very detailed, intricate stuff, but you quite wonderfully use Hungry Hippos as an analogy, and it works.
And I think to bring it all the way back round to Jacob Ramsey, this is clearly a case where I think Elliot Anderson's a really good example as well. It's another version of that. And even in Elliot Anderson's case, Eddie Howe says what he says because he doesn't sit right with him. He probably knows, for all his faults, that the fans, particularly up in Newcastle, love a homegrown player. I always say this, and I'm going to forgive me, but I'm going to say it again. It was for a slightly different reason, but the principle was the same. Portsmouth fans were fucking fuming when Harry Redknapp, because he's a wheeler-dealer fucking arsehole, sold Gary O'Neill from out of Portsmouth's midfield. He'd never done a thing wrong. He was a really good player. Everyone loved him. He worked so hard. He loved the club. And he sold him so he could bring in Papa Bouba Diop and do a deal, right? There's no reason for it, right? It hurts fans when you do stuff like that. For whatever reason, it really hurts them. And I can totally understand if you're Aston Villa and you've had Jacob Ramsey. I think he spent a bit of time out on loan, but he's been at the club for such a long time. I don't know if he wanted to go or not. Presumably he wants to go and play in Champions League football, and good luck to him. But they've done this for that reason. And this reason is that some financial rules have been applied to the sport, probably, as I said, for honourable reasons. And the ramifications is, again, fans are left with a sour taste in their mouth. And it's far too often a development happens within the game, on or off the pitch, and there's no consideration for the fans. And in this case, it's slightly different because, of course, the noble part of it is they don't want fans to miss out because they no longer have a club to support. But beyond that, again, it just leaves a bad taste. That's what it does.
And I think, Luke, that when you talk about the fans and how they feel, well, your kind of systems that are in place and so on, it's not immoral, it's amoral. So the idea of taking feelings and all that,
it doesn't matter.
It is what it is, sadly. But something I think, let's turn our attention to something that's to do with football finances, something we can all get behind. Premier League clubs have spent more than 2.36 billion on signings this summer.
We are class, aren't we?
But Vish, the record in a single window is around 2.46 billion. So we're just over 100 million away from breaking that record. Come on!
Yes, get the totalizer up.
Yes.
Alexander Isak, what are you doing?
Yeah, it's all on Isak and Newcastle.
Could be you, yeah.
Bring people together.
We'll do your own little presentation so you don't feel like you missed out on the PFA Team of the Year at night.
If Newcastle and Isak can get a deal done, and Liverpool in there as well, you will bring the world together, I go as far to say. We can all get behind that. What a record. I lived at a time when that record was broken.
Aston Villa.
What does Darmesh Seth think of it? What's Carve Solokol saying? I'm not finished yet. What's Gary Cotterill saying about it? Can he do a little limerick for us around the transfer totalizer?
Yeah.
Can he, when it goes over the record, can he do a willy copter on Sky Sports
There you
News?
go.
Oh, yeah.
If you don't like spending loads of money on footballers, you can do something else.
Yeah.
Go watch the tennis.
Vish, if you can't afford to spend £100 million a player, maybe you should think a bit more about those skinny lattes you're spending your money on.
Yeah,
that avocado toast.
Definitely not skinny. The Newcastle and Aston Villa fans were brought together.
They were.
By essentially the reasons around this Jacob Ramsey signing. Isak, if he does his bit, if he moves on, Monday night it's Liverpool against Newcastle.
There we go.
And their fans will be brought together.
A classic fixture.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Coming up after this, Morecambe are back on their feet.
Kind of.
To your right is the North Stand. Good afternoon, North Stand.
That was the stadium announcer at Hull City, really getting into his role at the weekend.
Absolutely unhinged stuff.
Yeah.
North Stand. I'm going to take you on.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's like there's some kind of emergency situation.
Yeah, he's not lasting the season, is he?
No. I'd like him to MC a wedding, though.
He might go for a wee jobby. Then he'll lose his job.
Sounds like he was doing one. Right. Elsewhere in the Championship, in a way, West Brom's under-18s beat Ipswich Town's under-18s 5-0. Why are we bringing that to the table? Well, their striker, Justin 7-7, that's a double-barreled name, 7-7, got the first goal in the 7th minute, and he wears the number 77.
It's wild, that. What's the reason? What's the etymology behind the name?
Well, it is 7 God's number.
Could be
Something to do with back in the day.
I wonder
in Hebrew.
I wonder if he's going to have his career slightly accentuated because he got such a recognisable name. You know, back in the day when everyone was saying at some point the three best players in the world were Lionel Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo, and Wayne Rooney, right? Mm-hmm. And I feel like Wayne Rooney missed out. And I'm a big cheerleader for Wayne Rooney.
You are.
I've already awarded him a knockout victory over Tom Brady yesterday.
Yeah.
I feel like Wayne Rooney missed out on probably quite a lot of endorsements because of the way he looked, because he's a normcore stylist. He's got a normcore style.
Yeah.
I wonder if you've got a really, really eye-catching name. There's a bit of a Simon Cooper, Soccernomics, Why England Lose feel that he might do better in his career because it's so memorable.
Possibly.
Because Simon Cooper argued in Soccernomics, which used to be called Why England Lose, and the reprint's called Soccernomics. Very interesting book.
Yeah.
He argues that there is evidence to suggest that on scouting days and trials at football clubs, blonde players get scouted far more disproportionately than brown-haired players do because they stand out more. And I wonder if there's something to do with the names as well. Simon Cooper should get on it. He's doing other stuff now. He's at the FT, I think, but he should be doing that now.
Do you know Justin 7-7 scored a second goal?
Yeah.
In the 34th minute.
Yeah.
There you go.
3 and 4.
Yeah.
7.
Exactly. Starting to sound like that guy off the internet.
Yeah.
Who does those interviews with Matt Letizia about numbers all the time. And Ricky Lambert, actually. Ricky Lambert's
I was trying to think of like what a nickname would be for someone with 7-7 and like obviously wears 77. And the only thing I could think of that was anywhere near that is there was a rugby player called Billy 12 Trees.
Yeah, there was.
And they called him 36.
Yeah. Okay, makes sense.
Well,
I don't know what 7-7 would be.
I think we're
49.
all intrigued.
7 times 7 is 49.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but like, what would be the? Yeah, you don't have to multiply them together. I was just thinking.
Don't have to. I'm just freestyling. You brought this to the table.
Yeah,
I'm trying to bail you out here.
Okay.
49.
I'm not being out of order, but that went nowhere. I was trying to help you out.
Well, we're intrigued to see where Justin.
You can understand why I was confused then.
We're intrigued to see where Justin 7-7 goes, but I would suggest that Gwyneth Paltrow stays well away.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's got a head cut off at the end of 7.
Oh, yeah.
Her character did. Gwyneth Paltrow at the time
What's in the
recorded
box? Justin 77's in the box. She's got a couple of goals.
And then she made a it's good. She made a candle that was scented of her own severed head.
Yeah.
Famously.
And then
Don't remember that anyway, I want to talk about
stick up yourselves to get them to smell nice.
Christmas tree. Air
Sort of,
fresheners,
ish.
1995, Seven. I'm not apologising for spoilers. It's 30 years. I haven't watched it yet. Stop being so lazy.
Now, down in the National League, Morecambe have been saved from extinction after a takeover of the club was completed by Punjab Warriors. Morecambe have had a terrible time, obviously, relegated out the Football League, down in the National League. And much of this stuff, we were just talking about PSR and all that kind of... The last thing anybody wants to see is a club going out of business. So the Punjab Warriors have come along and they've saved the day. They have become the first Sikh majority-owned professional football club in England. The new owners sacked previous manager Derek Adams. Poor old Derek. There's always a casualty in this.
He's always great for a quote as well, Derek.
I know,
It's a loss to our show.
Yes, indeed. They have since appointed 30-year-old former Notts County Wigan and Como, as in Italy, with Cesc Fabregas coach, Ashveer Singh Johal as the manager. He becomes the first Sikh manager to take charge of a professional British club. He's very young. He's become the youngest manager in England's top 5 divisions. He's only 30. And people might think, blimey, that is, a tough job to start, for crying out loud. What a situation to go into.
A tough job, also considering just on paper,
Yeah.
they have a squad of 5 first-team players.
Yeah.
And their first, not even, if you think of like the time it takes to kind of recruit just bodies, their weekend game is Saturday 12:30.
Oh.
At least move it to 3.
Oh, give us a couple of hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got a DHL package coming.
We got to get there
With
as
a
well.
player.
I know. Well, I mean, good luck to Ashveer, because, like I say, a young manager going into that kind of environment.
I cannot think of anything harder than, because you talk about the first team players they've got signed. Half of them are older than him.
Yeah.
I cannot think of anything harder in football as a first time job.
Oh, man.
Going in at that age.
Hello,
And
champ.
dealing with a lot of grizzled,
Yep.
old, because he's basically going to start bringing in like mercenary players to help him out, which is they're going to have to
They're
do
going to
that.
have to get
And
whoever
it's
they
probably
can.
going to be a fair amount of them been playing the non-league, and those guys are obviously famously just tough, no nonsense.
Yeah.
They're playing for their paycheck. It's going to be a baptism of fire, I'm telling you. And I think, we're talking about Keith Andrews going in the Premier League for the first time as a coach.
Yeah.
That's tough in a completely different way, of course, because technically it's very difficult and tactically it's hard. Players are very demanding and all the rest of it. This is as hard, but in a completely different way. And I just hope, from Morecambe's point of view, I think if I was a Morecambe fan, I'm not casting aspersions on Derek Adams' record there, but he's an experienced coach who's managed at some big clubs and he's been around a long time. If you want to get rid of him, fine, because it's your club and you can do what you want. I wouldn't be bowled over with confidence about this appointment, just given that you say he's coached at other clubs. I mean, he did at Wigan. He was with Kolo Toure, and that was a disaster.
Only for a couple of months. Yeah.
I think at Como he was youth team anyway. I think it was when Cesc was doing the under 20s.
Yeah, I mean, his CV's all right, and bearing in mind this is a National League side.
Yeah.
I think if this was a League One side or something, But then you've got to start somewhere, haven't you? So I'm intrigued, and you wish him well, because again, a young manager and all that going into a very difficult situation.
But I think the due diligence points are really interesting.
But I understand what you're saying.
And when we talked about Morecambe a week or so ago, 2 weeks ago, I don't think you were on the show, Vish, but we were talking about how the fit and proper persons aspect of this, or whatever it is at this level of football, almost goes out the window, because the authority's priority in these kind of situations is, it is beyond terrible for PR for any club to go out of business. So we'll just take anyone who will just commit to doing it. Are you realistically going to take a difficult decision if you are the authorities who have to oversee this and say, actually, do you know what? You can't do it because we don't think you're right, knowing in 2 days' time the whole club's going out of business? You're not. Whether they're good or bad, it's not about them. It's about the process. So we don't really know how well it's going to go under this new ownership. And I saw the head of the Morecambe Fans Supporters Association saying that, not really bowled over by this. I mean, beggars can't be choosers. We don't know what we're going to get, but the first impressions haven't been great, kind of thing. So we have to watch it with interest.
Yes. From Morecambe to Brazil, everybody. Let's zoom over there. Things aren't going very well for Neymar.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Poor Nene. His Santos side lost 6-0 at home to Vasco da Gama. The first time they have ever conceded 6 in the Brazilian top flight.
Did he do that face that was a meme, that GIF meme face?
The Manchester United game.
No, it was was it the Man United game?
Yeah.
I thought it was the Barcelona game.
No, he's shocked. Well, that was the Manchester United game.
Oh,
I
was it?
think.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure you're right. You know much more about Man United than me, Vish.
Well, Santos are
And
now...
that's your problem.
Yeah, that's a decision you've both made.
Yeah.
Santos are now 2 points above the relegation zone. Neymar said, I'm ashamed and totally disappointed with our performance. The fans have every right to protest, obviously without using violence. But if...
Get that in there in Brazil.
Famously the Brazilian fan way.
Yeah.
Let's be absolutely clear about that. But if they want to curse and insult, they're in their right, especially after I've gone home.
He went
He
off.
did say that last
No,
week.
he went off the pitch crying, didn't he?
I know,
which
it
is
was quite sad to
bad.
see.
But
It
then
is sad to
Neymar's
see.
always crying, though, isn't he?
Yeah, he
feel
does.
like he cries a lot for a
It's
footballer.
good. It's good that he's like that emotionally, I suppose, open. But yeah, it does cry a lot.
There's a happy medium. There's an unhappy medium.
Is it worse for him knowing that Philippe Coutinho got a couple?
I'd say so.
Absolutely lording it up.
It was good for me. I missed that guy.
Yeah, so do I.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, world's
Yeah,
favourite.
he was still at the books at Villa on the week, or during the summer.
That's superb,
Mad.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely superb.
Crazy.
Well, on Brazilian TV, former international turned pundit Neto has analysed every game that Neymar has missed over the past 10 years because of a party he was invited to.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. This is amazing investigative work. And he's got a big screen and he's in a hoodie
Yep.
and he's got glasses on. He looks like he's properly getting stuck into it.
Yep.
He said, and this guy Neto is
Yeah.
is a guy who played in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's now got, I think, quite a really big sports show in Brazil. And he's getting like stuck into it.
Yep.
And
It's I can we,
at one point he's just going, it's translated, but at one point he's just going, bang, sister's birthday.
Yeah.
Bang, New Year's party.
Yeah.
Bang, carnival.
Yeah.
Bang, it's his son's birthday.
Yeah.
He's really personal about it.
There's a lot of birthdays and carnivals written
Yeah.
out in Portuguese there.
But also, like, he.
And a picture of Neymar, who is, I mean, how would you describe how
He's basically dressed like he's about to headline the other stage at Glastonbury.
West Colt stage? Yeah, is what I'd
It's
say.
like he's gone to a Halloween party as Bruno Mars.
Yeah, Bruno Mars.
Yes!
Yeah.
That's
Which,
the
to be
fo-
fair, he might have done.
Yeah, true. That's the photo next to this table of all the games he's missed and why he's missed them, which is brilliant. Because normally you're used to, like over here, we're used to Sky Sports News. It would be them in their kit, like doing that pose. Whereas that really gets to the heart of the issue, I think.
He might have actually posed in that for the team, though. You don't know that.
Yeah, true enough.
Also, the thing about this, there's a lot of effort that's gone into it. They've made the graphics.
Yep.
He's done the research, this, that, and the other. It's the equivalent of us doing our own investigation to find out if water is wet.
Yeah, of course. Everyone
We've
knows.
known this for so long.
Yeah.
It's been literally written in some of his contracts that he gets carnival off, for example. We know that he has this like close relationship with his sister. What a waste of time. Genuinely, what a waste of time.
But also, thank you for doing it.
I was going to say, yes, a waste of time. but
Pete
it's-
needs to
but-
do one
Yeah.
for Luke Shaw and Call of Duty.
Yeah, that's true.
That's what needs. That's the
Yeah.
real work
Yeah,
here.
but it wasn't a waste of our time.
Pete
No.
should do a YouTube video right now
Yeah.
with Call of Duty graphics and
Yeah,
Luke
yeah.
Shaw. 'Cause that's the
Absolutely.
rumour. That's the rumour we've heard.
Damn right. Well done, Neto. Right, coming up after this, Crystal Palace begin their European journey. Right then, Crystal Palace versus Fredrikstad, happening, of course, in the Europa Conference League playoff round. A two-legged qualifying round against the Norwegian side is not what Palace wanted, but it's what they've got, sadly. The two legs against that playoff fall either side of Nottingham Forest visit to Selhurst Park.
Great stuff. Great stuff. What's Marinakis going to do?
I've no idea.
Well,
Turn up in a Fredrikstad kit.
They won't make him in that size. No way. Norway, very healthy place.
Big boys, though.
Yeah, they are big lads, but I mean, I'm sure he could get one made up.
Yeah, I reckon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's just got the flag. That's
Draped
the
himself with the
Roman
flag.
Emperor.
Yeah.
Did you hear the Crystal Palace have asked for increased police presence from the Met for this Sunday's game?
Have
Oh,
they?
really?
Yeah, so it's
Well, they're
properly-
expecting Marinakis in the
properly
Viking
for-
outfit, are they? He's going to start pillaging. Just start pillaging Croydon. Tearing through a nunnery.
Solo here, Rise of the Valkyrie. God, that's Marinakis' music.
Marinakis, like, bludgeoning his way through a Catholic church.
I think he'd
In
look.
Croydon.
I think one of those one of those metal hats with the horns on them would suit him.
Which Vikings never wore, by the way.
No, but he will.
Yeah, of course, you've got to do it.
Oh, yeah, sorry, Marinakis won't do it because it's not law. Yeah,
It's not. It's
I'm
not
not wearing that. That's ridiculous.
It's not historically
No.
accurate.
Yeah.
I'll do the dreadlocks, fine. I'm not doing that.
Who saw, 18 months ago, who saw a Forest Palace rivalry? Another weird rivalry for Palace.
Yeah, true enough.
But do you know what I did as well? I know that, so Palace are obviously playing Fredrikstad, as you said. It's the first of their two-legged qualifying fixture tonight. And so what I did what any diligent football broadcaster would do, is I asked Lars Sivertsen
there you
what
go.
Fredrikstad are like. And he was really, really kind to say that
they're not bad.
He's happy to let me know.
Yeah.
He said his family spent some time in that part of Norway, so he knows it well.
Pointless detail, go
I
on.
was going to say, when are we
his
going
mother's from there, and he spent his summers growing up in Fredrikstad, so he knows the club pretty well.
Right.
And then delivered me a pen picture of Fredrikstad,
Right.
which was about 6 paragraphs long and so boring, I couldn't get to the end of it. So I don't know anything about Fredrikstad as a part of that.
Cheers, Lars.
I mean, I could give you...
Thanks for that.
What about this then? Oh, you don't believe me?
Yeah.
Right?
No,
love
I do believe you.
I love Lars like
He's
a
got lots-
brother. I was
yeah.
in Norway last week.
Oh,
He
yeah.
knows how supportive I am of him and his people.
Yeah.
I'll give you a couple of quotes.
He wasn't there, though.
They were revived in the early 2000s with some financial input from local business and some astute coaching from Knut Torborn Eggen, son of legendary Rosenborg manager Niels Arne Eggen.
How are they going to deal with Mateta,
That's
Lars?
what they're not apparently going to get smashed. He
Right,
said.
okay.
Yeah, he said,
Oh, there we go.
he said on the pitch they're extremely unlikely to bother Palace very much at all.
There we go.
But it should be a lovely away trip for the Palace fans when they go there.
Wow,
There we
good.
are.
I'd really love to go with Palace fans to Fredrikstad.
Yes.
Be fantastic.
Yeah, would you wear a T-shirt with UEFA Mafia on the front?
If they ask me to, and they're my local club, I've got to support them.
Yeah. Well, that's what the Palace supporters group, the Holmesdale Fanatics, are doing. They're selling those T-shirts.
I don't know if you
Hopefully
guys.
on the cheap.
When I went to Norway, like I said last week, and the furthest north I went was Haugesund, and whenever I see a team playing against the Norwegian team I've never heard of, I really wanted to be right up there.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
And it's disappointing.
Yes,
Fredrikstad's actually right down on the south.
That is.
What a
And it's
waste.
like, what's the point
Yeah,
of it?
there's
Yeah.
no point. There's absolutely no point.
I want it to be Tromsø or further north.
Ooh.
If I don't hear the Arctic Circle in the analysis, I want to know.
I want Norwegian teams as fucking north as you can go.
Big time.
And I want random Russian teams as east as we can get.
100%. It needs to be east
they're-
of. It needs to be east of India. Or I'm not bothered.
Yeah,
The latter aren't involved.
No,
remember.
they're not.
All right.
Yeah, I know, but I'm
I
saying
know
previously.
there's a deal
yeah.
imminent, but I don't think the deal will include getting them back into European competition.
Fine.
And challenge me on this.
Right.
I said a while back there was no famous people from. I think was it Dudley. I think it was Dudley.
Dudley.
Other than Sam Allardyce, and a load of people on YouTube
I was
kicked
going
off.
to say, surely there is.
Yeah, but apparently there is.
Quite a few
I don't-
comedians from Dudley on there.
I don't think there's anyone famous from Fredrikstad, sadly.
All right.
So
What about this old Rosenborg manager?
he's from Rosenborg.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you spent a summer there or something. I
Yeah,
don't know.
who knows? They've got a
Um,
great flag though, Fredrikstad as well.
They
Worth
do,
pointing out.
yeah.
Red and white flag with like a disco ball in the middle of it.
Okay, well, we look forward to seeing that in the away end at
I
Palace.
hope it's a disco.
Drake
Yeah.
over Marinakis.
I was going to say, maybe
Yeah.
he can get his
Yeah.
hands on the disco ball and turn up with it. on
He's got to
Sunday.
go. He's got to go. Is the game at Palace?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got to go. He has to go.
Yeah, Palace weren't asking the Metropolitan Police. You wouldn't come up there with us. Would you? Give us a couple of horses. Come on.
Oh dear. Marc Guehi apparently is nearly happy. He's now agreed personal terms ahead of a proposed move to Liverpool.
After mugging off Oliver Glasner, which I thought was disrespectful.
Which was that?
They were walking off the pitch and he kept ignoring him, didn't he?
Oh, did he?
Yeah, that's what seems to have happened anyway.
Well, maybe Glasner was saying, how did you not know about that rule?
I think
A
Liverpool-
metre by the...
I think if they get Isak and Guehi, you might as well call the league off now.
See you later.
Do
Do you think Guehi, though, because there was chat that he wanted to stay at Palace ahead of the World Cup, and he thinks, well, I've if he starts for Palace and he plays well, he's going to be a starter for England at the World Cup. And he
I
thought,
think he's realised that Thomas Tuchel's now England manager, so forget that.
right, I think it was more the fact that he's seen some of that Liverpool defending, and he thinks, you know what?
I think a lot's been made of that, though. I think the Bournemouth game, a lot was made out of that.
And the Community Shield.
Yeah, but I mean, no one cares about that. The first game of the season, a lot was made of it for the following reasons. One, they're always going to strengthen at centre back.
Mhm.
That's going to happen.
Right, well,
And
there's
now
your
they're
man.
doing it. Two, Gravenberch, who was the best defensive midfield player in the league last season, wasn't there.
Mm.
And three, Arne Slot had already said that Alexis McAllister is nowhere near match fit yet.
Mhm.
And once he gets 20 or something, he said something like 30% more match fit, it's not going to be a problem. He was super relaxed about it. Carragher tried to absolutely slaughter him in the post match, and Slot was very calm about it. I also think Liverpool are going to probably going to move. They look like they're going to move to 3 at the back at some point, don't they? And with the
Well,
wide players they've signed, and with the centre backs are trying to recruit, and so I wouldn't worry about Liverpool, is what I'm saying.
No, I'm not. And Guehi strengthens, no two ways about that. Whether it's 4 at the back or 3 at the back.
Well, he's outstanding. He's an outstanding player.
He is, yeah. And it's surprising that he's been at Palace this long. I think. Perhaps that was his choice, a bit of both. But that's why
it was 100% his choice, because the season after he moved from Chelsea tried to get him back.
Yeah.
So,
well, he's presumably he does go to.
He's been linked with everywhere. He's linked with Spurs for a while as well.
Yeah. Again, maybe the time you're listening to this, the deal has been ratified and gone through. But for Guehi and Palace, it got to the point where Palace were like, he is for sale, everybody, because they knew he was going to go. They've got to get a fee.
It's great news for the totaliser as well, by the way, as we were saying.
Absolutely, yes. Again, absolutely.
We might not even need Alexander Isak to drive back from Dundee bare feet. we could just do it with Guehi. Get us over the line.
Well, Guehi and Eze, we love those beautiful boys, and they are helping out the totaliser. So again, they're thinking about the big picture, which is something we should all do, quite frankly.